What's Poles do in the shadows? Quite a lot. Although today, less and less things are considered embarrassing, it wasn't always like that. Polish culture, including cinema, was fortified by a range of taboos. The films we will look at in this episode, United States of Love by Tomasza Wasilewskiego, was made 4 years ago. It tells the story of Poland from 3 decades ago, especially the story of women. The intricate construction of United States of Love led the film to winning the Silver Bear at the Berlin Film Festival for its script. The award made the film interesting for distributors from many countries. On the screen, we can see the intertwined stories of 4 women on the verge of nervous breakdown. However, United States of Love does not have the southern charm of Almodovar's film, but the weight of Europe and the eastern side of the Iron Curtain, which has just fallen with a bang. It's 1990. Agata, played by Julia Kijowska, runs a video rental shop and is suffocating in her unsuccessful marriage. Feelings had burned out and now she falls in love with a priest. Fantasies about him are the only ones that can awake her sexuality. Iza, played by Magda Cielewska, is a director of a provincial primary school, the Queen of Ice, entangled in an extramarital affair with a doctor who likes to rent videos for adults. Sex is all around here, just waiting to happen, although no one talks about it. Iza's younger sister, Marzena, played by Marta Nieradkiewicz, is a former beauty queen who hangs posters of Whitney Houston above her bed and dreams of a great career. In the meantime, she works as a fitness instructor. The fourth woman in this puzzle is her neighbor Renata, played by Dorota Kolak, a freshly retired teacher whose social life is limited to the birds bred in the house and watching what happens on the staircase. All of the characters in this film are united by a desperate desire for love, which they cannot receive in a grey world full of stagnation, which has so far only nominally joined the Western world. Closeness is the commodity lacking most here. As one Polish hit from the 1980s said, there is no free love in concrete houses. United States of Love takes place in an unnamed town, where everyone knows everything, and keeping up appearances means a lot. However, among the grey blocks of flats, claustrophobic staircases, and masses where priests preach God-fearing sermons, there are some boiling passions. Wasilewski's film is about sexuality without prudence, doing what was not so common before in the woman's point of view. Traditionally, sexuality in Polish film has been treated rather as a secondary matter, not equal to the importance of matters such as great politics or history, and even if it was shown, it was giving us rather the male perspective. This has been the case since the 1970s, when Polish cinema began to start with eroticism and naked women started to appear on the screen. Until the 90s, it was a rule for actresses to show off their bodies on screen, even if men were not. At that time, Polish cinema turned into sex bombs, which was a source of social imagination. Sometimes there were great actresses, like the icons of the 1980s. Kasia Figura, who was walking naked in king size, or Grażyna Zapałowska, the famous femme fatale in Krzysztof Kieślowski's short film about love. There will be a lot of references to Kieślowski in United States of Love, especially portraying the blocks of flats and interest in the dilemmas of so-called ordinary man. When Polish cinema was passionately undressing beautiful women, men, but also women who went beyond the classic beauty models, remained hidden. This started to change only in the new century. Gorzka Szumowska, currently one of the most important Polish directors, always broke the taboo with her films and played a big role here. In Sponsoring, she talked about female sex workers. In Body, she reflected on the patterns of female beauty, addressing the topic of eating disorders. She also liked to show male sexuality, for example in 33 Scenes from Life or In the Name Of, which tells a story of a gay priest's dilemmas. The film was awarded the Teddy Award by the LGBT+ community at Berlinale. It was also one of the main motifs of Wasilewski's cinema, who took his first steps as a filmmaker while assisting Szumowska. The gay themes were most fully resounding in Floating Skyscrapers, telling the story of 2 guys falling in love with each other, but they would also appear in United States of Love, this time in a form of lesbian infatuation, although this time it's a bit diabolical. In communist times, homosexual relations were rather shamefully concealed. If they appeared in film, it was rather in the form of insinuations and allusions, such as in Vida's Innocent Sorcerers or Promised Land, or in mocking convention. This does not start to change until the 1990s, but the subject matter did not resound more strongly in Polish cinema until the last decade. It was not only at Wasilewski and Szumowska's, we saw it in The Suicide Room by Komosa and some of Agnieszka Holland's films, or most strongly in Olga Hajda's Nina, awarded at the Rotterdam Festival. Polish cinema is only just learning to crush the fetters of shame and tell honestly about the different kinds of love. United States of Love tries to look in a new way, not only at the intimacy of Poles, but also at the transformation of the system itself. It's an attempt to understand what happened in Poland at the turn of the 80s and 90s and how it affected Polish society. In the film, we see how the school is named after solidarity and how Russian language teachers are replaced by English speakers. We see how males go to the West and women remain faithful in waiting. But there is also a growing rebellion and a desire to emancipate. In the 1990s, Polish cinema was flooded by a wave of so-called bandit cinema. The screens was dominated by films such as Dogs by Władysław Pasykowski or Fastlane by Jarosław Żomorda, showing Polish reality on the model of American sensational films. However, there was little reflection on what has actually changed in the country, apart from Western fashion and the pressure of success. This disorientation, loss in the new reality, despite the flow of capitalist goods, was visually sensationalized in United States of Love by cinematographer Oleg Mutu, who had earlier shown Eastern European optics in Sergei Wojnitsa's or Christian Mogil's films. And here we have post-Soviet chic in its full, but also a portrait of sexuality at the time, all the silence and taboos, as well as the hopes and dreams, given sincerely, bluntly, and without blushing. Because ultimately, what's to be ashamed of here?